Welcome to the Primo's Musings podcast.
Good evening, guys. How are you? I know you guys are already starting on the MLBs. Steve, maybe I'll give you Yanks up 5-0 against the Giants, I think, right?
Yeah, no home runs. Five runs on all singles and doubles, so we'll take it.
Triple too.
Hey,
Grissom
The
had a
triple
triple.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
yeah,
park to hit a home run. Lot of room in the lanes in the alleys, and that's what
Yeah,
Grissom really
yeah.
hit the alley. A couple bloop
Cool.
singles too, but that's what you
yeah.
get in a big ballpark. So that's a huge
Yeah,
park. A lot of runs, a lot of
yeah.
green. You need some fast
It
runners out
was
there to cover a lot of green. So
they're doing it on Netflix, right? I mean, I think it's because
yeah,
I
it's
have
on
the
Netflix.
MLB. Yeah, because I for some reason I went to the MLB app that I have, and then it was not giving it to me because my son can watch it in Red Sox games and where he is right now. So I got the MLB stuff. But
MLB.
anyway,
They probably
well,
black out local games. MLB, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But they can watch like Red Sox or Yankees, all the East Coast games wherever they are, like whether in
Gotcha.
Texas or California. So anyway, we're going to be talking about. I thought I wanted to give a little shout out to the Yanks for kicking off the season. We got the Sweet 16, guys, and UConn's made it. And I got a very interesting. Not a stat. I will talk about it later, which it was mind-boggling, but I'll bring it up later. But let's talk about I think we already talked about the format of the podcast, pretty much doing a quick Sweet 16 preview for some of the games, and then maybe doing a deep dive on a couple of games that we care about, especially in the East, which is UConn versus Michigan State, and then St. John's versus Duke. So let's quickly finish the rest of them. So we got some very upstarts here, I think. When you think about it, I'll go by matchup. So we got the Purdue and Texas. I think Purdue, especially, they got Braden Smith, who is one of their top ranked players. Your thoughts on quickly? And I know looks like Mark is number two. I have to shout it out. I think it's number two or
yeah,
number three in the pool. So
yeah.
another shout out. I think Steve, you and I are no,
Right at the bottom.
we're at the bottom. But
Yeah.
anyway, but anyway, what do you guys think about this matchup with? And Texas was the first four. What do you guys think about this one?
I like Purdue. I like Purdue to kind of move on. I think they're playing well. They have that young freshman there. I just think they can actually get to a couple wins here. But I do like them on. I like them tomorrow night in the early game at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Any chance you give to Texas, Steve?
Yeah, I think you got to give a chance. I mean, they've made it this far. So interestingly enough, I look back. There's been three teams, and I think NC State a couple years ago is one of them, have gone from first four to final four. So three teams have done it. So it's definitely possible. Yeah, I guess I'll just start off saying I think I think just I've always kind of felt all season the top 6, 7 teams were superior to the rest. So
Yeah.
and the one team I thought that could lose was Florida. So I had Houston in my bracket there. But yeah, I'm going to go Purdue as well. I just think they're a little too strong. I give Texas a small chance, but I think Purdue.
Yeah, the only thing was I think UConn, we know that UConn had played one of these teams, which is Texas. I mean, they were up big, and then just early part of the season, UConn, they would let these teams come back. They would be up by 20, and
Yeah.
then the other teams would lose by like 8 or 9 or 10, whatever it is. I think one of the things is that Texas has played some good defense, which I saw a couple games that they played, but I think Purdue is Braden Smith, I think was actually play. Did he not play against UConn in the 2023 championship? I did think he did play. He's a senior, so I
Yeah.
think
He
and he's
broke the
all time.
all-time assist record. Did you see that?
Right. You're right. So the only thing is Texas. I think they don't have a good. They're defensively they're not that great in terms of defending the three from what I was thinking, and I do think that Purdue's efficiency could probably overwhelm them and another Big Ten team. I think that they're right now the best conference right now from at least until
Yeah.
where we see. Right, we'll get to that too. So the next one is actually going back to the Big Ten matchup, which is another surprising one, which is Nebraska and Iowa. It's like a 4 and 9 seed. It's again Big Ten rivals. They've already played. So I think Iowa's got pretty good. That Bennett kid is pretty good, solid.
Yeah.
I mean, and they got a lot of 3-pointers too. So what do you guys think in this matchup?
I like Iowa. I've been watching them the last couple games, and they really impressed me. They move the ball around. They communicate very well. And multiple guys can score. I think they're on a little bit of a groove. I think they know Nebraska well, probably 2, 3 different times, and during the course of the season. I'm going to give Iowa the nod, even though they're probably the 9 seed and they're probably the dog in this. But I'm going to go with Iowa.
Yeah.
So the battle of the corn farmers.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go Iowa as well. I mean, they're playing with confidence. They got some shooters. I don't I don't see Nebraska as this was surprising. I think it was Nebraska I heard this about that they won their first tournament game ever.
Yeah,
Yep.
crazy.
Right.
That was very surprising to me. A
Me
big
too.
school like that.
I actually I rewound the TV when someone said that. I'm like, that can't be
Yeah,
right. And it was
yeah,
great. I was shocked.
yeah.
You know what? We'll get to this because I think, going back to Nebraska, there's something like a question I wanted to ask you guys, and we've been talking about that NIL stuff too. But I don't think I picked the first one. I think I'm also going with Purdue, but I'm going to go the other way, guys, here. I'm going to go instead of Iowa, I'm going to go with Nebraska. The one thing is that I saw in the first 2 games was like their 3-point shooting was pretty decent, very good. Actually, one of the top, I think they were one of the top 15 nationally, I think, even before coming into this tournament. So I'm going to go with Nebraska, which is like the number 9 seed going to the Elite Eight. I mean, again, stranger things have happened, but I do think that I'm going to go with, I think I was still better. I think, but I'm calling an upset in Nebraska. Why not? Like, my bracket is all screwed up anyway. So I don't think I have a shot there. The next one we'll go to is that, of course, UConn played this team and lost. I think that was their first loss, Arizona,
Yeah.
going against Calipari's, number 4 Arkansas. I think it's going to be like a slugfest. I think this is just my view, but your thoughts on Arizona, because I think they're probably one of the best backcourts. I think.
I agree. I will say I was a little surprised. Couple things. So when you mentioned UConn got beat, right? But they didn't have Reed that night. I don't think they had Mullins either. So I mean, look, you take those 2 guys out of the lineup right now, they're going to struggle against a lot of teams. I will say, like Arizona, when I was doing all my picks in the bracket there, and I follow a lot of the hoops during the course of the year, even like the West Coast games, I'll put it on before I go to bed and watch all this stuff. But in UConn played a lot of these good teams here. They played Illinois, right, and playing later on that
Mhm.
night. So they played a lot of teams already, and they had a great off-season, preseason games, before the conference. I was surprised so many people picked Arizona to win the championship this year. I thought maybe I was kind of doing my picks thinking, hey, you know what? There's going to be a lot of, I think people fell off a little bit of the UConn bandwagon because they were kind of struggling. Obviously, the Big East getting pounded. That really left a bad impression of probably for some folks. I think Arizona, I think their backcourt. I always say 3 things make up college basketball for me. I think if you have strong point guards, you can make foul shots in the 90% or better, and you can play defense, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to make a run. You go back to some of those UConn teams, think about all the point guards they kind of had. Think about the foul shots they made in the 90s, clutch time, this and that, one-on-ones in a big situation and foul 7. And it just means a lot. So I think back to the fundamentals. I think Arizona, Calipari's a great coach, right? He's, he knows how to win. But I think it's Arizona's year. I hate to say it, but I'm going Arizona.
Yeah, good point. UConn made, I think they were 13 for 14 the other night when they were.
Yeah.
It's weird. UConn had some really good nights shooting, then they have some bad ones. It depends on who's shooting. Reed actually is starting to shoot well, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Arizona as well. I know Arkansas's got some horses. I don't trust Calipari in a big spot. He's a big recruiter. I have Arizona in one of my brackets winning it all. I mean, I think they were number 1 or 2 for a reason all year. They have strong guard play. I can't go against my pick. I like Arizona.
Yeah, and I have to go with Arizona because I picked them in the bracket to win it all. So I have to stay with Arizona. But I mean, Arkansas, I mean, they do have this one kid called Darius Cuff, I think. I mean, but they rely on him too much, I think. But if Arizona can shut him down, I think they can easily win. But I think the Arizona's, they've got a balanced attack. And Mark, I think you were saying that when UConn played Arizona, we didn't play without Reed and Mullins. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, that, and of course, but we played at home. I mean, I think UConn played
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
home.
It's tough.
It does make
With the
it's
freshman,
tough. Yes.
freshman, center going, that's a big
Yeah.
spot for him to kind of be in. Hey, but it's helping him now when he's getting into the game now. So you want that experience, right? So,
Yeah. I do think that to your point, right? So I'm going to stick with chalk there, which is Arizona there as well. Interestingly, another team UConn played. I think we have to go back to the list. I think there was like 5 teams UConn played
yeah,
in the Sweet 16, I think.
yeah,
And they played St. John's 3 times,
yeah.
right? And then they played the rest of them anyway. But anyway, it's Houston, Illinois, Oh my God, I watched Houston the way they're like
Yeah,
dismantling the opposition, like, especially Texas A&M. That game was
yeah,
not even close. And Illinois is very good. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was the game UConn played in the Madison Square Garden with this
Yeah.
blue court. I think I remember that pretty well. Your thoughts on the Arizona's probably got one of the best offensive thing and one of the best rebounding teams going against Houston, which is a more physical team, I think.
yeah. I like Houston. I think they get back there again. You know, their experience. They're a bunch of workhorses down below. Very very athletic. They can put 80, 90 points on the board. They'll run you up and down the court. Once you start playing their game, then I think it favors them. I'm going Houston.
I'm going Houston as well. I had them in my Final Four.
Mm.
Samson's a good coach, and they got horses too. If I had to pick it all over again, I actually might pick Houston to win the whole thing. I think maybe it's had some unfinished business last year, so I think definitely Houston in this game, and I think they're a team that could win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think when you have like one of the top backcourts in the country and also probably one of the best defensive top tier defense where they pretty much suffocate you, and I think Texas A&M couldn't even get any shot out. I mean, it was pretty tough for them. Like Fleming, Sharp, and Uzan. I mean, those three guys are pretty phenomenal. I mean, they got enough guys to put this away. But I think Illinois will keep it close. But I do think that they're going to get out muscled by Houston. And to your point, Steve, that they are one of you said they have some unfinished business. I think this could be it. And I think Illinois, I mean, they got one of the best offense, so they got those twins. They got strong rebounding, but other than that, I think the defense is going to. I think,
UConn beat Illinois fairly easy too.
yeah, it's by
That was
13
an
points
easier
or
game than
so.
Texas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 13 points. I think UConn was actually up big against
Yeah, they
Illinois by
were.
like 20 points. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then they let them come back or whatever.
yeah.
But anyway, the next one is you think this would be a football game between Michigan and Alabama, and that's what we
Yeah.
have today. But Michigan, number one seed, going against number four Alabama. I think is Nate Oates is the head coach of Alabama that you can't beat. I think earlier in 2023, I believe.
I was at
So
that game.
yeah, it's a good game, great game. But what do you guys think here?
Steve, you can go first in this one. I'm tossed up here.
Alabama. Which other team again? I'm sorry.
Michigan.
Michigan
Oh
was
yeah,
out.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Michigan. The 23 is a player. I forgot his
Was
name.
it Mara or Johnson?
No,
Mara or Johnson?
Littenberg or something like that.
Oh, Lindenberg. Yeah, Lindenberg.
Yeah, he's a player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're talking about that guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
He
a.
was he not the Big Ten Player of the Year? I think I saw
I
some
think he
stat.
was. Did you see the
Yeah.
story
Okay.
or hear the story when they were talking over the weekend? The mom, he was like going down the wrong path and was
Hmm.
great for and doing really well. And he went to school one day. She took all his furniture out of his bedroom, took his door off his bedroom, and said essentially shape up or ship out. And he said that was the message he needed. And
Wow.
it's a great story. Yeah, I like. They look strong, Michigan. They definitely. You could tell they've been a top 3 team all year long. They have. They're very explosive. I've seen them in games where they've been tight. I'm trying to think what game it was I was watching this year. It was a Big Ten matchup, close, and then they just stormed them and scored.
Yep.
I think they probably won by 20.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if there's another number one to kind of drop, I think it's Michigan for me.
Mm.
Wow.
But I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think Michigan wins, but I think if I don't know what the number is on the game through Vegas, but I think Alabama kind of keeps it close. They're very, very athletic, up and down the court, and I like their coach. He's he's got a lot of experience. And they travel well, believe it or not. From Alabama, you think football, but they travel well for basketball. So I say Michigan wins. I say it's closer than you think, and I give the nod.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with Michigan as well. I mean, I think to your point, of all the four number one seeds, I think
Yeah,
they seem to be the more. I mean, Florida was actually a shocker to me, but we'll get
yeah.
to
I
the.
wasn't shocked.
Yeah, it would be too. They were my number one team to get bounced as a number one seed. Then I think it's
Okay.
Michigan. So
Okay.
Yeah, I had
All right.
Florida out actually.
Okay, so I'm going to go. I'm still going to stick with Michigan. I do
yeah,
think that they got pretty big men on the paint, and I think they could really cause some trouble for Alabama. I mean, even though Alabama is actually a pretty good three-point shooting team, but I would still think Michigan is going to move on, despite the fact that, to your point, I agree with you that they're probably the weakest number one left, I think, if you think about it. And then we come to the last game, which is basically Tennessee playing against Iowa State.
Yeah.
And I think that's the team that it's Iowa State. I mean, they're very good defensively, but I mean Tennessee. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that team.
Yeah.
Probably going to upset some Tennessee fans there.
Yeah, I like Iowa State as well. I think the Cyclones they've been strong. They've been kind of a little bit under the radar. I know they were a 2 seed.
Yeah.
People are like, really? And they've been in that top 10 all year. So I like them. I mean, listen, that they played some tough teams. You got Iowa in there and some other that conference is stronger than people think. So I like Iowa State. I
Iowa's
think
Big
they
Ten.
win. I think they roll. To be honest, if there's a blowout
Mm.
coming up on this weekend on Thursday,
Mhm.
Friday, I think it's Iowa State.
Yeah, I think this one is. I don't know. I think it's. Yeah, I don't know when it is.
I think
Yeah,
I think Iowa State wins as well. I think Big 12 is the best conference in basketball. Did they have 5 of the top 10
Big
teams?
12 or Big 10?
Big 12.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you got Iowa State.
They
you
have
got
Iowa
Last
State.
year it was like SEC. Remember SEC had all these basketball teams that were doing very, very well.
Yeah.
There were like
This
8
year
of them in the
though,
top 20 or something.
they have Iowa State was in there. Kansas was in the top 10. Help me out here. I'm trying to think of some. They had 5 of them in there. That's a tough conference. Who else was in there?
you mean in
In the Big 12.
in the Big 12? I
Yeah.
mean, I think you had Arizona too. Arizona and Houston.
Yes. Yeah. Arizona, Houston. That
Kansas,
conference
Texas
is
Tech.
stacked. I mean,
Yeah, Iowa State.
they're newbies now too. So yeah, you kind of forget. But yeah, they're Then you throw Kansas was like a 4th or 5th in the I'm gonna pull up their conference here. I was
Well,
looking at
but
them.
BYU. You got BYU, you got TCU,
Yeah,
you got Iowa
BYU had
State.
a good year too. I was
Yeah,
surprised.
Yeah.
They got
Well, they
bounced
had
a
the
little
big
bit
guy
early.
there.
Houston,
Texas
yeah,
Tech. Yeah, they had a
Arizona.
yeah. I would say Iowa State. Yeah, they had some good. Yeah, I mean, Arizona and Houston, and then Kansas, Texas Tech, Iowa State. Oh, and TCU.
But I'm always
Crazy.
nervous about like if UConn ever left the Big East. I even though I don't like the ACC, I think I'd be more apt to send them to the ACC than Big 12. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Big 12 I think they're better. Look at the ACC. They sent 6 teams. They got 1 left.
yeah,
Big East sent
yeah.
3, and they got 2 left.
Yep. UConn and St. John's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are going to pick Iowa State too, and I'm going to stay with the same. I just think, I mean, SEC is not a bad conference when you think about you got Arkansas still left, you got Alabama still left. But other than that, well, you got Florida
Florida.
too in the SEC too. But other than that, to your point, Steve, that's actually a good point that I do think the Big 12 is more stacked up heavy at the top.
Yeah.
And I do think that Tennessee, even though they did play in a tougher SEC, which is stronger than Big East, I think Iowa State pressure tested, they're more battle tested. I think I'm going to give the nod to Iowa State.
Yeah,
All right,
imagine
then we come.
if the Big East had 5 of the top 10, we would be, heralding a greatest conference of all time.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, 2 years ago, Big East was really good, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
had Marquette, you got
What
Villanova.
do you
Yeah,
think the
so
reputation of the Big East is? If like from someone like from ACC and Big 12, like what do you think? Yeah, besides,
Well,
I think their first thing that comes out of their mouths, besides UConn, they're nothing.
no, I think it's cyclical. But the ACC a few years ago sent only 2 or 3 teams in the tournament, and like
yeah,
Tree said, Big East sent more. I think Villanova's only going to get better as that coach seems to be very good. I think Providence had a good one with this South Florida coach. Did Murray decline the BC job?
I don't know. I think I saw that he was offered, but I don't know if he declined it
I
yet.
can't
There's
believe
no
Hurley let him
news.
talk like that during the stuff that's going on. Like you got to wait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would tell BC you got to filter everything through me, and then hey,
yeah,
once our season's still going, right? That's what I'd say to BC, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
when everything's all said and done, then you can have your conversations. We want no distractions here right now.
I agree with you. I'm sure Hurley would have said something very similar.
Yeah.
So
I
let's get
wouldn't take
down
that job.
to
That's a tough job right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with you. Let's get to the last two games we
yeah,
have, both in our bracket, obviously. St. John's, Duke, and I think when we start with it, they did say that every time Duke has beaten St. John's in the NCAA tournament, they've actually won the tournament.
yeah.
Interesting stat.
First of all, I'm gonna say, going on a limb here and say Friday night's game are gonna be the highest ratings
Mm.
of everything that's kind of rolling around. This is a great ticket here in Washington D.C.
Yeah, one of the games in the NCAA got more clicks than Oscar. Just telling you guys that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Not
really?
yeah.
surprised.
That's funny.
That's not surprising.
So listen, I think Duke had that scare against Siena. I think it was a wake up call. And they kind of showed it in the next game, even though it was back and forth for a little bit.
Hmm.
I think they win. I do. I think St. John's, like that St. John's second game, they struggled. Man, it was almost tough to watch. They were missing every 3-pointer and everything. Um, I just feel that I give the nod coaching to Patino, experience, maybe a little bit more of the veterans on the team. I just feel Duke will find a way to kind of win this. I think the line's somewhere in the 6-7 range. I think St. John's keep it a little bit closer than people think, but I think I got to give the nod to Duke. Unfortunately, there, Steve.
I actually was a little surprised the line was as high as it was. I don't know. I mean, I feel like St. John's, boy, I think if they get past Duke, they have a real good chance to win it all. I feel like Patino's got them. Hopkins is playing really well right now. He hit 5 3-pointers the other day.
He kept
They're
them
gonna
in
need
that game.
some. They're gonna need something similar from him. And I guess the question is, Zuby. He's giving up some size now to Boozer. How is that going to play out? Zuby's a heck of a player, though. Um, Yeah, the rest of them, but they made a lot of 3-pointers at Mark. That was a surprise. Like
It
that
was
was
quick.
Kansas's strategy to pack
Yeah.
low and let them beat from the outside, and they did. They almost threw the game away. And I do feel like some of it depends on how are the official is going to call the game. If they call it tight, which they probably will because Duke's there, they will favor Duke. I think St. John's covers a line for sure. That's a good. I like that as a bet. And you know, obviously I picked Duke to win the whole thing in one of my brackets, and I thought they were the best team. They were really beating teams, but maybe because the ACC was kind of weak, they have
Hmm.
really not been very impressive in this tournament. And I know they're Duke; they could turn it on. And um,
Yeah.
Boozer Boozer turns the ball over a lot, the guard, but he's played admirably. But they're not getting back the other guy though, right? I hear the other guard yet.
Who, Caleb Foster?
Yeah, Foster. I don't think there's a maybe Final Four.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a shot and say I think midway change my pick. I'm gonna say St. John's, and I'll say this too. I wish that game was second behind UConn because I
Hmm.
feel UConn won't beat St. John's if they get there. And I think they have a better shot against Duke, particularly if St. John's beats Duke.
Okay. I mean, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, you know what, Steve, you're kind of like, I was actually thinking Duke, and I think I was actually, totally with what Mark said. They got the wake up call, Siena game. They could have lost that game if Siena. I
Down
thought
11.
at some point. I mean, Siena played all their five starters throughout the game. No breaks. I
Yeah.
don't know if they were up by 13. I don't know if
Yeah.
McNamara could have put somebody else in. I don't know. Again, hindsight is 2020, but that's a wake up call. But the more, and I think Mark, to your point, yes, they were shooting bricks. It was tough to watch. But I think St. John's is also battle tested. And I think the question is going to be Patino has got more experience than John
Yeah.
Shire.
Great
Yes.
motivator.
Yes.
Comes to shove, when defensively, I mean, Zuby is so good. Like, and I
Yeah.
think they should not let Zuby score 3-pointers. They should say just go inside
Yeah.
and then just pound the ball inside. I do think that if it gets tight in the second half, and I think St. John's defensively will pick it up. And to your point, I mean, it all depends on how the officials are going to call it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually leaning to what Steve is saying. I think I'm going to pick St. John's too, Steve.
As much as I want to watch the UConn game, I really want to watch this game. I really think it's going to be an intriguing game. I'm almost more excited for this game. And I'll say this too. Do you remember when UConn beat Duke in '99?
Yep.
UConn had a lot of
Over there.
upperclassmen on their team.
Yeah.
St. John's has a lot of upperclassmen, and Duke has a lot of freshmen. Experience, right? He's a senior. So is Hopkins. Howard is, I don't know. Duke's got a lot of underclassmen. I don't know the whole team, but I know the two boozers are. There's one guy that has really played well for Duke. I can't think of his name now. He made a bunch of shots in the Siena game. He's an athletic forward wingman type of guy. But and then you raised it too, Street. The Patino over Shire. I don't know how good of a coach Shire is. I actually think, well, I think St. John's definitely covers, and I think you make a good point. If they're 5 minutes to go in this game, and it's a basket game, boy, this could be really St. John's.
Place to be
And
rocking.
then I don't know if UConn could beat St. John's. I don't.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I mean,
Yeah.
but I do think that Shire will be a very good coach. Hall of Fame coach at some point, right? I mean, he's got to win a couple, right? But we'll see. Let's get to our
But you got to call
team.
Patino's a master.
He's a master.
And look what he did to Hurley in the Big East Championship. That was coaching.
That was coaching.
Yeah.
You got to coach. Yes. So then we get to the marquee matchup that we've been waiting for, and hopefully it's earlier. I don't think it's going to start till 10 o'clock, 10:30, 10:15. Okay. So UConn, Michigan State. I mean, they've already played each other earlier. It was on an exhibition match. We know that. But we're okay. Before we get to the Michigan State UConn game, the first two games that UConn played, your thoughts? And we know like every game was two different games, right? Reed dominated, Carabat dominated. We had some Mullins kind of woke up. Ball, I think I was listening to Jeff Goodman podcast, I think, and he was saying there's something in his head. He just can't shoot. Yeah. So your thoughts on the first two games UConn played against Furman?
Yeah. So I think I threw that stat out to you guys about Reed having 41 points, 40 rebounds. The last person to do that in the first two games of the tournament was Tim Duncan. So pretty good facts there.
Company.
So and then I think game two, they weren't going to let Reed beat him again. So they doubled him up and said, hey, listen, let's see if we can get someone that's maybe not hot with the 3-pointers to try to beat us. Caravan stepped up the highest points since he's been there for the 4 or 5 years. And then Mullins kind of helped him out there in the second half. So tail of two games, right? Inside game one, outside game. They really neutralized Reed in game two. But he was making foul shots, as Steve said earlier in the podcast here. If he can start making foul shots and get down low and make things happen, that's just going to help him. Him kicking that ball out, and if we can make some 3-pointers, that's going to help him out as well because they're going to throw back down deep. So for the first two games, it was tail 2 games for me to kind of watch. UCLA, they were good. They were kind of smart. They kind of double team Reed and it kind of panned out because I think he scored 10 points or 11 points or whatever it was. But then the outside shooting kind of helped. The foul shots, Steve said 13 or 14, and they played some tough defense there. So that was my analysis of the first two games. Steve?
Yeah, no, you said it was a tale of two different games. I think, obviously without Reed, you don't win the first one. The second game, my boy AK stepped up. I know he doesn't get a lot of props from you guys, but man, he
had to call it out. He had to call us out.
He was the best player in the court on Sunday. And I have to say one thing. I'll throw another one out to my other boy is Ross. I've been saying for a while now,
Ross, to you guys a couple weeks ago.
Ross should be starting over Ball, and then you bring Ball off the bench as a shooter to get kind of like when John Gwynn and you get a little instant. I don't like the way I never really liked the way Mullins and Ball, they're very similar players. Where Ross, what Ross's 9 points there reminded me of was in the first half. I think it's the second time I'm referencing the Duke 99 championship at UConn, is when they got those unexpected points from Ricky Moore rather, and I actually don't know if they win that game Sunday without Ross's 9 points because it happened so quickly.
Yeah,
and it really changed the game around.
Yeah, instant offense, right? Instant offense. He came and hit those big threes,
Yep.
kind of stemmed the tide. He got, I know he hit like it was a 4 point play. He missed the free throw,
Yeah.
and then then he got
Yeah.
3 free throws too.
Then
Yeah.
you got 3 free throws. So it's almost like that was unexpected points that maybe Ball would give you. And you know what? The other thing when I was watching the second half, UConn's up comfortably. Then UCLA really didn't shoot a 3-pointer. That I was happy, because the teams that shoot the three are the ones that kind of scare you a little bit.
Which basically, when you have Jeremy Fears from Michigan State, he's probably one of their top players
Yeah.
that can. But you know what? I think if they rely on, we'll get to Jeremy Fears, but I think to your point in the first two games, I also heard another comment on the Goodman. I really like that podcast. I mean, all UConn stuff, and he was talking about. He said you don't take solo ball out of the starting lineup because he's like it'll kill his confidence.
Possibly. Yeah, I
And
think that. Yeah.
yeah, and I think Hurley is, Hurley is. Hurley is a player's coach.
Yeah.
He's going to back him up. He's going to basically tell him. I think you probably saw this when Mullins hit those big threes
Yeah.
against the game in UCLA, and
Yeah.
you could hear Hurley saying something like "That's my boy" or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So he's going to back them up 100%. You know what? Solo ball was just phenomenal. Even last year, he was pretty
Yeah.
good. So I think you know what, they're going to work him out in the gym. They're going to see. You know what? He just needs to hit one or two threes, and then I think if Ball plays, I mean, I think it's going to be a different ball game. And who knows? UConn has had two different players step up in the first two games against
Yeah.
UCLA and Furman. Maybe this could be Ball's night. Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't
Ball
know. I
had
Yeah.
hope
30.
so.
Didn't he have 30 against Villanova this year in Hartford? I mean, he
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
it in him. But you know what he needs to do is do what Mullins did and start going to the hoop or taking shots, in the paint
Yeah,
to
I
get the
agree.
confidence. Like he keeps shooting threes. That one sequence there where he had 3 3-pointers and then they end
Oh
up getting the ball and he got picked up the foul and it was just like he felt
my God.
so bad for the kid. But it was
Yeah.
just a terrible sequence of plays and it's just like,
It
oh my
was.
Lord.
That was their strategy. That was UCLA's
Yeah.
strategy. They like you said, right? They double down Reed, and then
Yep.
you kick the ball out to like Mullins. Mullins missed the threes,
Yeah.
and then Ball missed the three, and then the next thing you know, that UConn was
Yeah.
already like 2 for 10 or something like that. So where do you guys see this game going? I mean, Michigan State. When Michigan State has played well this
Yeah.
tournament so far.
So it was weird when the line first came out. Michigan State was favored. I was scratching my head. I'm thinking, no way. Then I don't know if it was the next morning. It flipped around to being in UConn at 1.5 point dog to 2.5 point favor. Right now, I think they're 1.5 favorite to 2. I like UConn. I think is coaching a little bit more controlled this tournament. Like you haven't seen
Yeah.
him really go a little bit. I mean, there's times where I thought he was going to lose his mind, and he kind of wasn't, right? So I like them this tournament. I think they're a little bit. I think Steve mentioned. I was going to mention as well as it was on my list here. I think Ross is the X factor. He comes in. The team is just not like, hey, he's just in here for minutes. They're getting him the ball now, right? So that's going to
Yep.
open up and free some other people if he can kind of maybe chip away, get some hoops, get to the hoop, get some steals. So I do like UConn. I think they have a I think they win big. I think they win double digits. I think it's close
Wow.
back and forth, and then I think that within the last 5 minutes they kind of pull away, and I think it's because of the foul shots, right?
Okay.
I think they they're going to make all their foul shots, and then they're shooting well. And I think Ball helps out. I think once he makes those first couple of baskets, his confidence is going to be back up there. He's going to feel like he's part of the team, right? Right now, he was on the bench, man, and he was like, I don't even know if he was cheering. I think he was like in shell shock. So I think once he get
Yeah.
over that hump there, he's not going to lose his position. I think Shree said, Hurley's a player's coach. He can't pull the kid because it could cause a little bit of distension
Yeah.
in the locker room. We don't want to do that either. So it'll happen for him. I think he's got to go to the hoop, right? He's got to go to the
Yeah.
hoop, get to the foul line, and little things
Yeah.
like that matters. So,
Yeah.
but I do like UConn, and I like him kind of big. If you're out there throwing a couple of bucks on that you've been saving, I would throw it on UConn in this game. Steve?
Yeah, I like UConn. I think they need to play better than they have the first two games, though, and I think they're going to need something from Ball. I think they're going to need two of these three to play well: Caribbean, Mullins, Ball. Ross to play, give you a good defense. They're going to need to. They're going to need to score. What do you think? 75, 80?
Anytime
Yeah,
they
they're
score
not big
69, first to
scorers,
score to
are they?
69, they're going to win.
Yeah, Michigan State's kind of they're like a Somewhat as St. John's. They're a physical bruising team,
Yeah, that's
but
their style.
but I did go to that exhibition game, UConn Michigan State in Hartford, and for what it's worth, UConn really was a better team. I mean, again, it was October, and I don't know if Michigan State didn't play everyone. They just but I don't think UConn's been the same since that first St. John's loss. For whatever it's worth, I don't know. They just haven't seemed to play as well. Maybe they're playing tighter. I mean, I like the fact that Caravan's played really well. He's really just been that. I think that means something. Him being the captain, if we're going down, I'm going to give it everything I got, type of deal. So I think, and I think Mullins will play well. I think he got out of his funk a little bit. I do think they're going to need maybe 10 points from Ball, though. He's going to need to play better. And like Mark's saying, take the ball to the basket, take the ball to the paint. Just don't rely on the 3-pointer. And the thing that concerns me about Ball is when he doesn't make a shot, he doesn't give you much else. I think he gets preoccupied with it. His defense suffers and everything else like that.
Right.
Kind of like my
Trickle
golf
down.
game. When I make a couple bad shots, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, I was just looking at the scores from Michigan State game. I think looks like Mullins didn't play, and then I think Caravan had like just looking at it. Yeah, yeah.
Did Fears
Wait,
play?
who did
Fears?
play? Yeah, he played. Yeah,
He did
played.
play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Play. Yeah. I mean, I think UConn was up big in the first half, and then Jeremy Fears did play. He was 2 for 7 or 10 for 13 on the free throws. So you could see him go down to the free throw line all the time.
Yeah.
But I think you guys all make good points. I do think that Ball, you're right. He's got to go in. That's for sure. Klingon actually was on the Field of 68, another podcast I listened to, and he said the same thing. He said Jaden Ross is going to be the X factor for.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he said that too, and then they kind of played that clip on that podcast. I'm actually going. I think very close. Mark has got more confidence than I did, and I'm happy, Mark. And you know what?
Yeah, me too.
I'll probably buy you a beer if they do. I mean, I think if they will blow them out by 10 points, I think it's going to be a close game. Going to come down to the last possession. I mean, you guys did talk about UConn, like Steve, you said UConn didn't really play well in the first 2 games. Furman was a kind of a weird game. Like it was all Reed anyway, because the rest of them just fell apart. I think the second game, UCLA makes this run, cuts it down to 4.
Yeah.
And then UConn goes on this run. I thought that was the best that they played this tournament. That stretch for like 8, 9, 10 minutes.
They weathered the storm from UCLA, and then
yes.
they scored.
But they weren't a 3-point threat. UCLA, they're not a 3-point threat. I thought Caravan played well in both games. Like strong. You said Reed obviously played well in the first game. Caravan did too, and Caravan I think was integral in those last 5 minutes of the game too. He plays strong. He's taking the ball to the basket now. He's not getting the ball knocked away. He's finishing at the hoop.
Yeah, and I think if they double team Reed like they're going to do, I think. By the way, did Reed actually not play against Michigan State when he played for Michigan? He probably did. That was probably his freshman year.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. He might know that team, if it ever happens there. You know what I mean? That'd be good.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, but I think, I think it's Tom Izzo. I mean, Hurley, Tom Izzo. I mean, 2 Hall of Fame coaches right now. So, again, just like you guys were talking about, like Pitino coaching Hurley. I mean, this is another coach Hurley's going up against who's seen it all, right? Michigan State is like a perennial Sweet 16 team. They get there every time. Doesn't matter how they start the season, they always get there. You know what I saw, which was an interesting stat? I wanted to kind of share this. I saw this on Twitter or X, whatever. Since 1954, right? This is the first time either of these 4 teams are not there in the Sweet 16, which is Kansas, Kentucky, UNC, and UCLA.
Wow.
Jeez.
That stat. I mean, I gotta go and verify with Grok, but I thought that stat just blew me away. Like, one of these teams was always there in the Sweet 16 since 1954.
You know what the stat that blew me away was that I think Steve threw it out in the group chat there when the brackets came out, that the East had 31 championships combined, which is I couldn't believe it when I had to read that twice. I'm like, I forget UCLA, but back
I'm not even sure that included Patino's too.
It's crazy
Because they mentioned schools. Because Patino's got 2, right? He's got Louisville and Kentucky, right?
Yeah. And they said that even the breakdown when the brackets first came out, like even the announcers and every channel, I was flipping back and forth a little bit there. Everyone said the East was like crazy, like they couldn't believe how packed it was with talent. People are kind of were a little bit bummed out that you get three Big East teams and two of them are in the same conference that they could meet up. Like, come on, really?
I
So
I think some of it too is I think one of you guys mentioned, I think Shree, that Hurley's toned it down or marked it.
yeah,
I think some of that has been NCAA giving UConn the jab a little bit because they put them in the toughest bracket. They've given them every late start imaginable. I mean, that one game started at 10:30 at night, and Hurley
Mm.
went in and start snoring at the post game, like they kind of give a little jab back to him. So, but
Yeah.
I think, like you said, he's toned it down a little bit. But so here's a stat. I was actually kind of thinking about it, and I did Google some stuff. So UConn since 1990, let's say is when they really started becoming successful. The Leitner
Mhm.
shot there that year. They've made the tournament. I want to say they said, or excuse me, they've made the Sweet 16 now. I think they said 18, 19 times. So that's about every
Oh,
other year. The Elite Eight, 13 times. This would be 14 if they get there. So that's about every 3 years. They've gone to the Final Four 7 times. So that's about every 5 years. And
1-6
obviously won 6, number one there.
every time. Every time they get to the final, that's
Yeah, they
all
get
they
to the
got to do.
final. Yep. They only had that one loss against Michigan State.
Michigan State. Oh yeah, yeah, right. Oh yeah, I forgot about. Yeah, they're
I
6-1.
think
You're right.
Price was the point guard.
Yeah, he
Routine
was good.
Cleave.
He was good, Price.
Routine Cleave.
And
No,
you
no,
you
Who's
Price
saw
the
the
for
regional final,
UConn.
Mark, right? You saw the regional final where they beat Michigan State to go to the Final Four in the Garden.
Yeah, that was a Madison Square Garden. That was a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was against Michigan State because Magic Johnson was there. They kept showing
Yeah,
him on the big
that was to
screen.
go to the Final Four. That was a regional final.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a
yeah.
regional file.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay,
I don't know how I got those
okay.
tickets.
Yeah. Well,
People were
yeah,
culture or something like that. I remember I had
yeah.
my baseball draft that day, and I had to bring the TV in with me and watch the game. But that's pretty amazing, though. Like, when did you graduate, UConn Tree?
96.
Okay, so I was there in 90. I was there that first year in 90. And I was just sort of thinking about like how many years they went to the elite. There was
They did. Well, Calhoun years, they did go a lot. You remember the one knock on Calhoun was until they got 1999, they beat Gonzaga, right? I
yeah.
remember they beat Gonzaga, but one knock was that they could never get to the Final Four. I
Yeah.
mean, that was always whether it's the Daniel Marshall teams that couldn't get there. I don't know. They did play UCLA. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that was the only other time they played
Yeah,
UCLA. I think Ray
they
Allen had
showed it.
26 points.
36.
That was like,
That was a wrong thing. It was 36.
yeah, yeah. O'Bannon brothers and
Yeah.
Tyus Edney. I remember that.
And he went coast
But
to coast.
they in 1990 they lose to Duke. In 95 they lose to UCLA in that game you're talking about where UCLA
Ooh,
wins the whole
classic.
thing.
Well, that was
90
actually the 192. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was UCLA beat UConn 102-96. Check the
Yes,
score
you're right.
again. Yeah, yeah.
98 they lose to that UCLA game in California.
Yeah,
98 they play North Carolina in North Carolina and lose
yeah.
that game.
Yes,
That
that was the Rip Hamilton. Remember, was it the game before Rip Hamilton hit that buzzer beater
yes.
against Washington State?
Washington. Yeah, Washington State.
But
Washington.
it,
Okay, yeah, okay.
The
but
fall away.
Washington. Yeah.
North Carolina had Vince Carter and Antoine Jameson.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
That's
so 99, obviously we get there. 2002, it was 2002. UConn loses with Caron Butler to Maryland, and
yes, I
Maryland
remember
went on
that
to win the
game.
whole thing.
Yep. Was it the time they played at the Orange Dome? I think I remember that game.
I don't know if it was that
The
was
old Syracuse
they got
Orange Dome. I don't know.
possibly, yeah, okay. And then in 2006, they lose to George Mason in that huge upset there.
What was it that was Josh Boone part of that team?
He
I
was
think so.
they had a very talented team.
Well, that was the
Yeah.
Charlie Villanueva team. Was that the team? Probably the most. Was Jeremy Lamb on that team too? I think so, right?
Yeah, I don't think
Well, like
Lamb
a
was.
The
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 other one,
Lamb was
the
with
other,
no,
Kemba.
Rudy Gay was there.
Yeah, Rudy Gay to me was really an underachieving. I know he's viewed as a great player. I've always kind of felt he was kind of an underachieving UConn player. He never really won anything. Calhoun said
Yeah.
that team was already worried about the NBA. The team
Yes.
that lost to
Right.
George Mason.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of NBAers in that team. Villanueva, Boone. Like the point guard there, the lefty there, Marcus Johnson. Marcus.
White? No, Marcus
Who
White.
was Marcus?
He was good. I liked him.
He was good.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
left-hander.
like the other left-hander, Naples.
Or
yeah,
Napier?
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Napier. Yeah.
Shabazz. Yeah, but well, Shabazz did win one, right? He won one.
Two.
Two.
He
Shabazz
won
won
two. Oh
two.
yeah, he won two. Yeah, he won two. Yeah, one with Ollie too, right? So yeah, but I
And
think who knows? This team could go on a run.
Carabin can get 3.
Yeah.
He'll be the most decorated player, right? If he does it.
Oh, no doubt. Most wins, most championships.
I think just going through the gauntlet right now. I mean, think about this. If they beat Michigan State, they could play St. John's or Duke. And then they got to go play one of those like Houston's and those
Yeah.
kind of teams.
This is a tough. You
It's a
kind of
tough-
you almost like when you look at the 24 team, how they just steamrolled. 23 they did, but they struggled a little bit more in the season. 24 was just such a dominant, probably their best team ever.
Oh, I think so too.
But like they just made it look so easy. Oh, someone's like, oh, but now when you look at like a season like this year, where like you said, they got to go through the gauntlet. So really quick, I alluded to it earlier that I think UConn would have a tougher time with St. John's. Let's just put them past Michigan State. Not that we're taking them for granted. Who would you rather play, St. John's or Duke?
Duke.
Who would rather play? Okay.
Duke, because you think we could beat them, or
Yeah, I think I nothing for nothing. St. John's out physical UConn again.
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think Duke may be a little bit banged up. I think UConn would have a better chance at beating them. I think the line would be 1.5, 2. I think St. John's could actually be favored if they over UConn being a 5 seed over a 2.
Here's an interesting point too. Hurley's already put out the call for UConn fans to support St. John's. You see that? So
Yes, I said I
that
did see that.
that crowd could be very pro St. John's if that game. If you get UConn guys, which they will, they're not going to root for Duke. They're going to root for Big East and St. John's. That could be a very loud crowd in support of St. John's. St.
Yeah, I
St.
mean,
John's is going to travel too. They're excited about
well,
this.
I mean, Duke is going to try. I mean, we know that it's Washington D.C., right? It's going to be in Washington
Yes.
D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like midway between like Duke and
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think and Duke has got that thing. I think they're going to travel. It's going to be 50-50 crowd. And you're right. He did call off the ceasefire. I think Hurley said, "I'm calling the ceasefire for this one game, and then we'll go and like it'll be a bloodbath." Yeah, exactly. So I think it's good though. I think it's good to have Patino and both of them there. But this is good. We'll look forward to the games tomorrow and Friday night. Looking forward to each of those games, and hopefully we'll compare our notes after what we picked and things like that. Yeah. And by the way, I do have to call out Jamie because he did say he was going to, but I think, we'll give him some space, of course.
I just want to give a quick Yankee score. It's 7-0 Yanks in the 7th.
7-0. All right, good deal.
All right, they're already half game up on the Red Sox. Oh, thanks, guys.
I had a Red Sox fan send me the eliminated thing this morning, so I sent it back saying 5-0 Yankees. Pipe down. So
all right, this was fun. All right, guys, just hold on a second before I top. Good night. Just hold on a second, guys.
All right.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you for listening. Primo will be back soon.